Stem cell research has been the topic of hot debate for many years. Many conservative Christians feel that all stem cell research is wrong, in particular embryonic stem cells, while others believe that the benefits outweigh the moral concerns. I hope to persuade you that all stem cell research is not wrong and that it can be used to benefit those suffering with debilitating and sometimes fatal diseases. When God created human beings, He created an awesome thing. The fact that the body is made up of stem cells that can duplicate and replenish themselves is at the very least extraordinary. Unfortunately, no matter how remarkable these cells are, they are finite and have a limited lifespan, as stated by Lisa Rubin in the article Stem Cells, the Basics. The questions then arise, what are stem cells and why are they important? In the article Stem Cells, a Primer from the National Institutes of Health, it explains that stem cells have two important characteristics that distinguish them from other types of cells. First, they are unspecialized cells that renew themselves for long periods through cell division. Secondly, under certain physiological or experimental conditions, they can be induced to become cells with special functions, such as the beating cells of the heart or insulin-producing cells of the pancreas. In the process of this research, it has been discovered that there are three different types of stem cells. The website stemcellscience.org explains this in great detail. The first of these is called totipotent cells. These cells have the potential to create every cell of the human body as well as the placenta and extra embryonic tissues. Secondly, there is pluripotent cells, also known as embryonic stem cells, and they have the potential to create every cell of the body but not the placenta or extra embryonic tissues. Now finally, there are multipotent cells. These cells are found in both adult and developing fetuses. To fully understand the value of these stem cells, we first must understand their relation to each other, as explained on the website stemcells.nih.gov. After fertilization, the totipotent cell has the potential to form a human being. And this totipotent cell multiplies itself for up to 5 days after it's fertilized. After approximately 5 days, the totipotent cells start to specialize and they form a hollow ball of cells, which is called the blastocyst. The blastocyst has an outer layer of cells and an inner cell mass, which eventually becomes every cell of the body. The inner cell mass is where the pluripotent cells exist. Now these cells can be isolated from embryos in the germline cells of fetuses. The pluripotent cells specialize even more and become multipotent cells, otherwise known as adult stem cells. Now the area of debate regarding stem cell research and brought into the public eye by Christopher Reeve, who played Superman, as you may know. He suffered a tragic accident in May 1995. It left him paralyzed from the shoulders down, and his debate, or the debate on stem cells, regards pluripotent cells or embryonic stem cells. Now, these cells are considered more valuable because they are more underdeveloped and unaffected by aging than the multipotent cells, which are, we know as adult stem cells. Now, because of this, it's worthwhile to note that spontaneous mutations are more likely to show up in the older adult stem cells than the embryonic stem cells, as they're being allowed to culture in order to produce adequate amounts of cells for treatment. Researchers have discovered 3 ways to isolate embryonic stem cells for therapeutic use. The first is by isolating the inner cell mass from embryonic tissue, which is gained from excess embryos from fertility clinics. Another way is called primordial germ line isolation, and this is from fetal tissue. These cells exist in the blastocyst, and until the conversion is developed that produces reproductive cells in the terminated fetuses. Now, the third and perhaps most ethical way to isolate embryonic stem cells is by therapeutic cloning. In this process, the nucleus of the egg is removed. Then the nucleus of a body cell is transplanted into the egg. The egg then becomes an adult stem cell. The egg is never, I will repeat, never implanted into a uterus and cannot become a human being on its own. This is seemingly a brilliant way to produce stem cells that are compatible with a person's own body. And Christopher Reeve believed that embryonic stem cell research would bring about the scientific breakthrough that would one day repair his damaged nervous system and allow him the privilege to walk again on his own. Doug Post and Doug Knutson from the Department of Family Medicine at Ohio State University relay that Reeves was determined to raise public awareness, even to the detriment of his own health and ultimately his death. Upon his death, a young man named James Kelly, who previously debated Reeves regarding stem cell research, he wrote a letter regarding this quest of Reeves and the fallacies which he was presenting to the public. Because Kelly felt that the error of the information Reeves was presenting was doing more damage than it was doing good in finding the treatment for multiple injuries and ailments. Now, according to Kelly, Reeves was under the false assumption that the embryonic stem cells were biological miracles and adult stem cells were of no use or value because they were incapable of transforming into other cell types. And what Reeves did not relay is the tendency of embryonic stem cells toward uncontrollable growth and tumor formation, which made them unfit for human trial. Sadly, by the end of Reeves' life, he became aware that embryonic stem cell treatment was not the all-in-all and probably wouldn't even help him. While this type of research and potential treatment of debilitating injuries and terminal diseases may seem promising, the ethical ramifications must be reviewed and determined. Because of the potential of stem cells to one day heal Parkinson's disease, diabetes, heart disease, cancer, or even spinal cord injuries, do the ends justify the means? Is the value of one life, such as a fertilized embryo, is the value above another, such as an elderly person with COPD? Or does the death of an undeveloped human with no voice justify the life of a human that can voice their opinions and concerns? Before these questions can be answered, it's important to determine if, in fact, embryonic stem cells support life at what is considered conception. Scientists argue that the embryo cannot be considered a person until 2 weeks after it is attached to the uterine lining and can no longer split into identical twins, as stated by Lisa Cahill in the article Stem Cells, a Bioethical Balancing Act. Since the embryos used for harvesting these stem cells will never be attached to the uterine lining and are basically harvested in a petri dish, I do not believe that this type of harvesting of embryonic stem cells can be considered abortion or murder. This is a very difficult topic to make a firm decision on for the Christian. So until a clear determination can be made regarding when the moment of life begins, it will continue to be a hot debate. Science and religion will always have differing opinions. Therefore, it's hard for the two to come into agreement regarding embryonic stem cell research. Now, I understand that this is a very technical speech, but in conclusion, I offer my personal opinion regarding the subject matter. I can see the potential benefit of stem cells for therapeutic treatment of injuries and illnesses. However, I do not believe the harvesting of stem cells from aborted fetuses is a viable option, especially for Christians. One life should not be held above another, especially at the risk of murder and or death occurring in one party. I believe with the options scientists have of harvesting embryonic stem cells, that method is not even necessary. Some patients of in vitro fertilization choose to donate their frozen embryos instead of them being destroyed to be able to harvest cells. And another way of harvesting cells is the discarded umbilical cords after babies are born. So there's no reason to use aborted fetuses. I don't believe that the use of embryonic stem cells in itself is wrong, but the method for harvesting becomes the debate of so many. If harvested correctly and ethically, I believe stem cell research is not wrong, and I hope I've made you consider another side to the debate, and I hope that you can see that too. Thank you.